Hey everyone, I'm Ian Douglas, the author of the website techinterview.guide. I do live streams every Sunday and Thursday at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern about topics relevant to interview preparation for the tech industry. I occasionally record longer Q&A sessions, and I've started to break those into smaller videos to post. And there'll be information at the end of this video about how to get in contact with me if you have additional questions. Let's get to it. All right, next one on the list. Let's see. What's an example of a job interview question designed to make the applicant uncomfortable? There are several of these. Some of them are illegal to ask. And so I would say in your sort of geographic area, it's important to know what kinds of questions you should not be asked in an interview. As an applicant to the job, you may not know. You're not allowed to ask me that question. Things about like religious status, marital status, political affiliation, whether or not you drink alcohol, whether or not you have children. I think I covered, are you married? Like they're not allowed to ask those kinds of questions. They are not allowed to straight up ask you those questions. However, when you come in and you go to the interview and they sit you down and you're, with the receptionist, they offer you some water. When someone comes out to get you, and they start saying like, oh, we're just going to like go walk down this hall and get you set up. The interview has already started. They may make comments, ask questions, that sound innocent enough that you may volunteer information that you don't need to or that you don't mean to. And I've heard some advice like, on that walk to the room, stay quiet. I would say you still have to be kind of friendly, because if you just refuse to flat out say anything and treat it like, I'm not saying anything without my lawyer present kind of attitude, you're going to come off cold, and that's an impression that you're giving the company. So everybody that greets you walking in the door and even walking you down into that room, they're all making sort of impressions of you, and all of those impressions play into whether they should hire you. But for example, if I had someone for an interview on a Monday, and while we're walking down that hall, I ask like, hey, how was your weekend? Did you have a good weekend? Did you do anything fun? Anything you tell me can and will be used against you in the court of my interview. If you start saying things like, oh yeah, I hung out with the family, it's like I'm making a little mental list of all the things I'm not legally allowed to ask you, but you're volunteering. So I'm kind of checking off like, oh, married. Oh, did I see a ring on their finger? Are they married? Do they have kids? What kind of family? Are they like in town? I could ask like, oh, what kinds of things did you do on the weekend? And you're like, oh, I went to a party. It's like, oh, okay, well, I can start to make implications of, all right, you're kind of a party person, and I can start to build sort of judgments and bias for or against you based on what you say. And so there are questions that we're not allowed to ask. When it comes to just straight up questions, I mean, if it's designed to make you uncomfortable, then it's a bad question and they're a bad interviewer. Straight up. They shouldn't be asking you anything to make you uncomfortable on purpose. Now, that said, there are questions that they may ask that will just feel uncomfortable to talk about. For example, if you get let go from a job, if you're fired or terminated from a job, they may bring that up. That's going to be uncomfortable. But that kind of question isn't designed to make you uncomfortable. It's designed to get information from you about why, from your perspective, did you get dismissed from that job. And so those are important differences. But there should be no questions during the interview which are specifically designed to make you uncomfortable. There are like weird, quirky questions that are designed to be impossible to answer. Like, tell me something that, tell me 2 or 3 things that your old coworkers would tell me about you that you would say are not true. Well, if you think about that for a minute, what are they asking? They're asking what you think someone else would say about you that you think isn't true. So if I said, well, I worked with so-and-so, and they would tell you that I'm always late to meetings, but I don't think that's true. Well, if you think they would say that you're always late to meetings, it's probably because you've been late to meetings in the past. And so that kind of question is kind of meant to trick you a little bit into telling me what you don't want to tell me. And so there's a subtle difference in there. But I would say if you start to detect those kinds of questions, there's no easy way to sort of shut those down and say like, hey, you know what, I don't appreciate these questions, because it is part of an interview. But you can certainly just answer them to the point and say, I can't really speculate on what my coworkers would say about me. I can provide a list of references and you can ask them directly, something along those lines, just to kind of defer the question a little bit. Hey, thanks for watching. I love helping people out with interview prep, and I hope this video helped you in some way. If you found this Q&A useful, please consider subscribing. You can follow me on Twitch as well for the live stream twice a week. Check out techinterview.guide/streaming for more information. I also have a daily email series that you can subscribe to on the website. There are never any ads, and when you finish the series, I scrub your information out of my database permanently. Finally, if you have a question that you'd like answered on the stream, you can find my contact info on techinterview.guide. I prefer LinkedIn or email. If you leave your question in a YouTube comment, it might take me longer to find it, but I'll see you next time.